Okay, we'll continue with, again, the Gashian Discourses by Bill Eisen. And again, these are recordings, transcripts of recordings that came through, or recordings of the medium Richard Zenner and Creo or Jesus, just one of the many entities that came through him. Okay, now we continue from, I think, where we left off. This is when Jesus had come across a farmer tilling his fields. Then I showed him how to go about his work and how to make his work easier for him. I told him that he was putting too much fear in his work, that he was afraid that he would not be able to get it out. Then I told him to take his time and that all would come out right in the end, and it did. I also helped him in the field for the rest of the day, and I showed him every step of the way. After a while he said unto me, "It appears that you know very much about this. Have you tilled the soil before?" I answered, "Yes, I have." Check my time. I have done much of what I am about to show you as well as what I have shown you already, but I have done it earlier in this life, as well as in many lives before this one. Then I told him about reincarnation, about he too had lived many lives, and that in this life, his mission was to till the soil, whereas my mission was to go out and show men how to live and how to derive the most out of their lives. These are the things, children, that I enjoyed in life. Just little things, showing this one and that one what to do and how to conquer fear, showing each one how to conquer so many things that become so difficult to overcome. So this little lesson tonight is to show you that when you are laboring, when you are toiling, or when you are doing whatever it is that has become so burdensome to you, just stop and think about this work that is put before you, must be done, and sooner that you accomplish it, the better. Just say to yourself, this work was put before me, but I know that I accomplish it and drink from the fountain of life, that as I accomplish it and drink from the fountain of life, my cup shall runneth over. Then I shall pour forth from my cup, and I know that I will be able to fill it up again. However, if you do not pour forth from the cup, then you can never replace any more within. Therefore, pour forth, and as you pour forth, so shall you have your cup filled, and the supply will always be there awaiting you. The stranger on the path. Basic truths are very simple, yet I have often heard the teachers, as they descend onto the earth to bring forth their many truths, express the thought that they must always strive so diligently to bring them forth. It is that they want to help and assist the mortal, the outer man, as he walks his path in life, ever seeking understanding and the answers to life's many problems. We have all walked on that very dusty path, children of the earth, and as the dust would reach our nostrils, perhaps we had but very little elixir or water to quench our thirst. We would sit down and we would wipe our brow, then we would arise, being ever so thirsty, and we would walk on to the next village because we had our affairs to take care of, or we had a relative or friends to meet. And as we did, we would find ourselves wondering about life. Perhaps we would be thinking, why is life as it is? Why am I as I am today? How soon shall I be freed from my body? And when I am, where shall I go? Who can tell, who can prove to me that I shall live again? These would be the thoughts that would enter the minds of so many. I recall one occasion when I saw the illumination on a passerby as he came near me. I saw him in the light that I wanted to see him. He had the illumination, yes, he had the sack and cloth as well as the vessel that he had just drunk from the gourd. But as he quenched his thirst I could see his radiation, his light. Of course he did not see it. And as I neared him he spoke unto me in a friendly manner. I too spoke unto him, and then he looked at me rather oddly perhaps. But I knew why. He had noticed that I did not have a vessel. Ordinarily we always carried the vessel from which we could partake and quench our thirst because of the dusty path and the hot sun that beat down upon us. But there, as he gazed unto me, he noticed that I had not vessel nor bread to break. Although he had bread and he had vessel, as I say, he then looked at me rather oddly, and after speaking to me in such a friendly manner and with a very wonderful smile, he then said, "Would you care to partake and break bread with me and drink from the vessel?" This pleased me, of course. Then I obliged myself and reverently gave forth light unto him as I broke bread. I partook of this bread, and it gave me strength, bodily strength, and I quenched my thirst from the vessel. After I had done so, we sat down along the dusty road, and he began to talk. We had a long conversation, and during that conversation he said, "I don't think I've ever talked so much for a long time, and why I am speaking to you in the vein that I do not know. But I said unto him, it does us well to speak of self, and of conditions, and of people, and of life, and to be ever so philosophical when we express our attitude towards such things. Then I spoke to him. He asked me a question in more of a mortal vein, as to where I was going and whether I had business to attend to in the neighboring village. I answered his question, and he told me that he likewise was going to a neighboring village. He called out the village by name and said that he had walked for perhaps many miles, but now had but a few more miles to go. I answered him, saying, "Yes, I have just come from that village." Then he asked me, "Do you know of a little girl there?" And he spoke of a little girl, calling the little girl by name, whom he understood lived in this particular village, and whom many villagers had been talking about for some time. He asked me if I could give him the correct location where she resided, and this I did. I told him of the little girl and the stories I had learned about her from her parents. Then he said to me, "I'm going to this village because I was told that I could be helped if I went to see this little girl. I understand that she is very strange and has visions, yet many people think that she is possessed of the devil. But I am told that if I go there I may be able to help her, and in turn she may see visions for me." At that point, I must interrupt my story about meeting the stranger on the path and explain that during my time there were many children who could see visions. Many people of my day saw visions, heard voices, and this became a very interesting subject among the villagers. This child that I am referring to was apparently from a physical standpoint suffering. That I understood, but I also knew why the child seemed to be suffering in this manner. However, the man to whom I had just met on the dusty road, and with whom I had partaken bread, did not know the true reasons. He believed he understood the mind and how it produces and brings forth the creative powers, but he did not have the correct interpretation. He had studied the body according to the understanding of his time, and because he had trained himself in this direction, he believed that he could go and perhaps physically help the child, and thus be permitted to ask questions as to what she could see psychically. This interested him very much because the child was supposed to be wonderful in many ways. She could describe her visions and tell many interesting things. I think the time's probably about up, I'm not sure. This is really quite interesting. I'll continue. Let me break and come right back.